report for 2010 is complete. A full copy of the audit will be provided to the board. Mr. Hingston will be scheduled to come in and review his audit report and findings with the board at an upcoming meeting. I just wanted, I think I've noted this before, but the process is moving. We just need to schedule a meeting date for him to come in and make his presentation to the board.
So it will not be the 21st?
No, it will not be the 21st. Board members have a copy of an extension with the town of Andover for short-term duration of the intermunicipal agreement for water. It allows until June with the existing contract carries forward. We previously had submitted our proposal to Andover, have not heard back in terms of what the response to that is, other than to receive a copy of this document. It did speak with the town manager in Andover last week, and it more or less is continuing, not more or less, it is exactly continuing the terms until we're able to successfully conclude negotiations. And I'm not asking the board to vote it this evening, but I will be asking your consideration at the meeting on March 14th before town meeting.
I guess the way I read it is they want to extend it into the end of the fiscal year, and any changes will take place. It makes sense from their budget year too.
Because they built their revenues around
Right.
North Reading.
Right. I mean, that's how it looks to me, Greg. I don't know if you assume the same thing.
Number 4, the board had asked me to give an update on pending grievances and arbitration actions. There is one case that's been filed with the fire department. It involves a pending disciplinary matter. It's been submitted in the form of a grievance. As far as the other unions are concerned, which is the non-union, the administrative services, the DPW, the superior offices, and the library, there are no pending grievances or arbitration matters. With regard to the police union, Local 25, there are 4 labor disputes that have been filed in the form of grievances. I've highlighted them here. It's a special police officer working scheduled shifts, number 1. Number 2, holdover a patrolman for longer than his scheduled shift, number 2. Number 3, shift bidding by patrolman. Number 4, progressive disciplinary rules as a result of accreditation/certification. In addition, there are 5 grievances which the union has filed for arbitration, and those are as follows. 1, sergeant seniority shift bidding, which is scheduled to be heard in arbitration on June 14th. 2, strike details, which are scheduled to be heard in arbitration on October 27th. 3, patrolman covering sergeant shifts, scheduled for May 11th. 4, failure to provide step increases, scheduled for April 13th. And lastly, using special officers for details, which is scheduled for next Tuesday, March 15th. Additionally, the town has received a request from the police union to engage in impact bargaining over EMT training and body armor. That request has been submitted. The town has taken no action on it. And then lastly, we did have a negotiation scheduled with the union for Wednesday. The session was canceled by the union for reasons that are unknown. Please be advised that the town intends to vigorously defend its decisions and management rights in all the aforementioned disputes with both the police union and the fire union.
I have asked, before we pitch in, I had asked the town administrator to make it a common practice now at every one of our meetings to update us on, not planning a large discussion, but update us on new grievances that have come forward and the status of ones that are in process of being resolved, because we've been critical of the town administrator associated with making progress in negotiations, and in this particular case, there's a continual stream of grievances coming down, which are just occupying his time, and the majority of it's coming from one union. And I think it's time that we make this specific practice public. It's a frustration for all of us, and it's unnecessary, and it's taking us nowhere. So from now on, it's going to be in the public eye. Any questions to Mr. Balakonis?
Yes, just had a quick question on the complaint on the accreditation certification. Isn't that what the police department just went through in just recently? They just received, and
that's correct.
and I guess I don't understand why there would be a complaint by a police officer on that.
Nor do I.
Is that a good answer?
I guess so.
And I want to refrain from making any comment because it is subject to a dispute, which potentially could be filed for arbitration.
I got you. Okay.
Just one question. The issue of strike, was that the strike that took place at the cement factory quite a while ago?
It is indeed, and the basis of it is how that work was divided up between the Wilmington Police Department and the North Reading Police Department.
So I thought it was. Any other questions without getting into details that will impact arbitration?
What's the issue regarding EMT training and body armor?
The nature is unclear. The nature is unclear. The requests for impact bargaining did not clearly state what the reasons were for it, and I'd rather not speculate.
Don't.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Are these just preliminary bits of information that you received at this point? No in-depth?
Oh, good gosh, no. Some are more detailed than others. The files on the arbitration cases is quite extensive because it involves responses, and so those files are quite detailed. The process is that the union has a right to submit for arbitration any matter within 30 days of its submission under Step 2, which is the town administrator. So within 30 days, the union has the opportunity to submit to arbitration.
If I can just stop you there, Greg, if you can back up
Yes.
and just give the whole process.
The whole process
How
is
it begins and how it gets to
Right.
and what happens at that point.
the whole process is to under the contract is to try to resolve it informally through submission to the police chief. Police chief wants a formal grievance is submitted in writing. He has to respond within a period of time to that grievance, either accepting it or denying it. If it's accepted, I never hear of it. It then gets submitted to the town administrator as Step 2.
If he denies it.
If he denies it, it gets submitted to me under Step 2. I have an opportunity to rule on it within 10 days. If I rule in favor, then obviously it's resolved. If I don't rule in favor, then the union has up to 30 days. Under the contract, not only the police union, but all unions have a right to file for arbitration in a dispute. So there's an opportunity to file for arbitration. Filing for arbitration is simply, I hereby file for arbitration. So there's not an extensive background, case history, justification, such that goes along with it. And then typically, the process for arbitration is lengthy. It requires both parties to agree on the selection of an arbitrator. It's done through the AAA or the American Arbitration Association. There's a list of names that get submitted. The parties hopefully agree on a single arbitrator. If they don't, then you go through that process a couple of more times. A hearing is then held here at Town Hall. The hearings typically take a day or so, but there's legal briefs, there's counsel that represents both sides. It's a quite extensive and lengthy process, and then the arbitrator issues a ruling. The ruling is binding on the parties, unless there's some type of error in law. So if there's an error in law, then typically there's an opportunity for right of appeal to the court. But it's a lengthy process.
Can I ask you this? The first four that you mentioned here, are those ones that came in recently, within the last 10
Grievances?
days, 2 weeks, a month?
Grievances?
Yes.
Within the last month.
And the other 5 have been percolating for some time, is that fair to?
Yeah, the other 5 have been around, some longer than others, but yeah, they've been around for a while.
And is this, in your opinion, in the years that you've been here, is this a typical sort of average you see from any one particular union? Is it heavier than, or lighter?
Most of the activity is local 25.
I'm sorry?
Most of the activity is local 25.
Okay.
And like Sean said, is that typical? You see that many grievances coming over?
Well, in the time that I've been here, I would hope that it would have quieted down.
Yeah.
Hasn't.
That's not my decision.
So Greg, when you went through your process, Sean, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Are you
No,
done? When you went through the process, do we have to have legal counsel on hand for the whole process, or are there some parts of it you can do without the expense of legal counsel?
We handle it without labor counsel until we get to the issue of arbitration. And then when arbitration is involved, we always involve counsel in those discussions. Matter of fact, counsel is always present during those meetings.
Okay, thank you.
On occasion, you may consult counsel
Oh, absolutely.
prior to
Oh, absolutely.
arbitration. Right.
Counsel is invaluable in assisting the town with rendering decisions, and if the town has found that it has an obligation under the grievances, then we'll go ahead and move forward on it.
Thank you.
Expensive.
Anything else, Greg? Yes? Mr. Vino? Can I speak? Well, it's,
I just have a question, Mr. Chair. So any grievances that are filed now will get this same attention at a meeting?
yes.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure this wasn't an attempt to, berate the police union, because that's how I look at it.
No, it's not. Except that most of them come from Local 25, so. As the town administrator reported, there aren't any other, with the exception of one for the fire department, outstanding from all the labor unions. Of course, this does not include the school, because we have nothing to do with the school. Anything else, Mr. Bellavance?
No, sir.
Okay. Old and new business. Want to start, Mr. O'Leary?
I just have one issue that was brought to my attention by an abutter, and I went and checked it out myself the other night. This is in relation to the new restaurant and the lighting in the parking lot. Extremely bright, very, very bright, and I don't know whether you need to talk with the building inspector or someone else as far as, shielding those lights.
It's already being worked.
And get those
It's already being worked.
taken care of, because it's extremely bright. And I think
What neighborhood is it right in the back there?
it's,
Plum-
Pluff Ave.
Pluff Ave?
Pluff Ave.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then there's some other ones out and back too, yeah. So it's, but very bright.
Yeah.
And it just needs some sort of an adjustment. And the way that the fixtures are there, they don't necessarily allow for the shields.
Right.
So, I don't know, we're gonna
Have
take
to
some
put
sort of.
shields on the back.
Yeah, but not in the type of lighting that they have there, doesn't look like it. So it looks like there'd have to be a dimmer or some sort.
Internal shields, maybe,
Or maybe an
a
internal
bulb
shield.
that's got a shield on it?
Maybe, but if it could be addressed, I think it would be good. Other than that, nothing else,
You
Mr.
said
Chairman.
it's being addressed because of what?
Oh, the complaints have come in, CPC, I believe.
And I've got them.
And Greg's got them too.
Okay.
That's good. I just want to make sure that it's being addressed.
Anything else, Steve?
That's it. Thank you.
Michael?
Sure. Greg, this particular citizens activity request has been on our desk here for about a week. I wasn't sure we need to do something on it. It's been sitting here for a while.
Okay, thank you.
Just have a few things. This past week, I kicked off the charter review based on our previous discussions that I would take the action after we all agreed to make the change for April town meeting, to move it to June. We also had many other items we were considering, and I had asked that you allow me to formulate a board to give all the other committees and department heads an opportunity to participate in the discussion, to make sure that whatever decision we make, we understand all the impacts. And one of the examples was just taking our annual report from this thick book that we print and spend a lot of money on. What do we have to do to get that to more of an electronic submittal where people can just download it from our website? Maybe produce, smaller copies so our senior citizens that don't have the access, so we can have those kinds of discussions. So just a little history of, just to bring you back up to speed, why I started this and kicked it off last week. We had our first meeting. I have to call it a brainstorming session. Barbara Stats has informed me, because if we want to continue to keep this group together to work on the items, then what I need is the Board of Selectmen has to make a formal, Greg, stop me if I have anything wrong.
I'm listening.
But a formal committee
Committee, yeah.
to do, a review committee to conduct this. So I'm going to ask that you would please consider making it an official committee to just review the charter, and we'd like to review some of the bylaw stuff as we're working through it as well.
Who's we again?
Right now, every department head has been invited. Greg is participating. Kathleen Willis participates.